Gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Sometimes you just get one of those sorties that you're not going to forget, and today I happen to be recording while I was flying a P-51, escorting some, I believe, friendly BF-110s, I could be mistaken here, over Winter Stalingrad. Don't ask the logistics of that. I've been told not to ask too many questions. But what I found over here was some non-stop action, so figured it's worth breaking down with the help of my live self when I decide.
We're currently on escort duty, which means we're babysitting these guys.
If you guys enjoy this video at any point, make sure you drop a like. I'm always trying to figure out new formats for the channel. But I hope this one is nice and educational. So I'm counting all my ducklings, and I see one is over the count. So we gotta investigate. He's a little bit of the wrong size as well.
Now I'm counting the correct amount, but that's not a good thing. We have so much speed on him.
And a pretty good summary of what happened right there. Now, a little bit of lag on the file, but you can see all of my 50s kind of converged on his left wing, and he's taken care of nice and fancy. Now, this is going to really spice up. I'm not sure if people saw me in the kill feed. Obviously, we were right next to the enemy airfield as the attackers just decided to do that. So these guys lock in on me pretty good. The lobby wasn't super full, but definitely it was more full for the enemy team. So these guys are hungry for action. For this whole video, I'm going to be running my P-51 engine in max WEP with manual engine controls, propeller pitch 100%, and the radiators down to 90% because we're in a cold environment here. So I wouldn't normally bring this thing into a stall type maneuver where I'm trying to get the guy below me to fall first. With that engine setting, I believe I can, and it happens to just barely work out, although I was a little sketched out at this point, but now you see his nose kind of fall. And once I zoom in and find out what it is, it's an FW-190. So my confidence grows intensely here. Now, if this was a 109, I might be a little scared, but especially in this downward spiral, what I call the washing machine here, the American fighters are just so good. And he makes a pretty big mistake, especially against the 50 cals right now. They will reach out and touch people, and it's an absolute laser beam. Especially since the full tracer belts are really the way to go. With the lighting in the sky, it's just gonna go right through your head. You know, he's looking back, and that's the last thing he saw is just those bright red tracers going past him like he's in frickin' Star Wars. But I catch a shot down in my left flap. Didn't really do any significant damage, but I got this guy chasing me at this point. So I clearly have way more speed than he does. So we're gonna use all that, and we're gonna run the frick away. And he's coming down. I'm like, okay, I'm totally safe. I can relax and get my earbuds back in my head. Just a note, when I'm running like this, I am closing the radiators. Not 100%, but definitely closing them to about 20, maybe 40%. Doing that isn't going to overheat the engine super quickly, but I am feeling a little frisky, and I got this guy in a 1v1, judging by all the cons and where they're all at, and I'm pretty sure this is a 109, but I'm not 100% sure. So we're going to go in and we're going to investigate just in the merge. I don't really like shooting in the merge, especially if it's going to be a German thing. They've got the guns in the nose, and just the 50 convergence is a little strange. So I see it's a 109, and I'm not going to go into a one circle with the 109. That's where we're both turning into each other, nose to nose. This is going to be a fight where I'm turning to his tail, he's turning onto my tail. So what I'm trying to focus on here is keeping speed. He goes a little aggressive early, which gives me some confidence. Now, normally this isn't really a fight I'd be willing to take, but every once in a while I just gotta test to make sure that things are still the way that they're supposed to be. Level on the deck like this is not the way to fight a BF-109 in a P-51. It's just not, and that's going to be kind of the theme of this video, is doing things I'm not supposed to do, and yet some fun things happen. So I do actually have combat flaps set out here, running the engine at full WEP, and it kind of looks like it's even, but I can see as we go around 1%, 2%, 3%, 10%, that's a nose. I start getting a little worried. Now, I know he's slowing down every time he pulls around. I'm really trying to keep my speed at about 220 until eventually I get bored, realize I'm going to lose this in the end, and I pull it back. About 180 is when I think I ditched out of the fight. Yeah, I had to tighten it down to make sure he didn't get his nose around on that last little turn right there. But now I'm flying into this beautiful sunset. I'm fairly confident, you know, same deal as before, except that there's somebody on my tail, which I don't see until the very last second. Luckily, I have a pretty good reaction before those bullets hit me, and I actually think that guy ends up losing visual after this, or else I would have been pretty screwed, I'm not even gonna lie. I feel confident in surviving 109 for a while, but two of them like that, especially when one's got a ton of energy, it's pretty scary. Luckily, this map is pretty good for losing people if you just get below, I don't know, building height. The cons shut off, and you can run pretty good. And in the 51, you don't really have to get super far for them to not be able to catch you. Like, even if that guy dove on me from way back there, he's not catching this American beast. At least with the radiators closed. Honestly, without mech, this thing really isn't that great, which is why I almost always recommend those settings to be used. And while the first half of this serves as a little bit of a teaser, a little bit of an introduction to the chaos to come, that was more about surviving things I probably shouldn't be surviving and how to do that in a P-51. This is going to be how you bait people into a fight in which you can win. Because I really shouldn't be flying down here, right? I'm flying, I don't know, 5,000 to 6,000 feet. I really should be up 15,000 to 14,000 or higher as a starting point for the P-51 fights, but it's an early match. No one's getting into that, and now I'm getting into a very non-advisable fight, which is a one-circle fight with a BF-109. Now, the key thing is that I'm going to have 2 or 3 turns to do something like this, to get him damaged, and to get him into a position where I will have the advantage after it occurs. Now, if I missed that first shot, or, I don't know, missed that one, I would have been in a big amount of trouble.
I guess we don't need it evened out for long.
Now, I kind of have a moment of cockiness and ego, which is immediately punished, as it should be. And here's really what I'm talking about. So here's that second 109 from earlier. I'm tightening down the turn, but as we just learned, right, that 2-circle fight in the long term is not the way to go. And he's going to have more speed, pull, and lag behind me. Those bullets are going to be fast, but I am going to have to be faster. Taking some shots, luckily, the 20 mils aren't super powerful right now. I think my left wing would have taken some significant damage, but there really isn't anything, especially not visually. So I immediately am closing those radiators. And when I said 20 to 40% before, I lied at this point. I am terrified. Those things are closed right on up. And this Merlin is cooking. And you can tell it's working. Those shells, by the time they're getting to me, are arching pretty good. They are slow, as is he. And I'm feeling pretty confident. So we're going to do what's called a steady climb, right? I say it like it's a technical term. We're just going to not climb like it's a stall climb. So 109s can do a more aggressive climb to altitude because they are lighter aircraft. We are quite a heavy aircraft with a powerful engine, so we're going to climb a little bit more gradually, put some distance between him and I. And the plan's going great until I see red tracers, and I immediately know that's not what that 109 behind me was shooting, which gets me quite worried because we're also facing the Russians. So the way that the bullets were being shot didn't seem like they were American 50 cals. They seemed way more like some cannons, especially now that I see that they're coming from the nose. This is either an LA-9 or an LA-5 FN, which has been very strong after some recent updates. Now, this is a quite large issue because it's okay to have an aircraft behind me that I can outrun, but I'm very unconfident in the fact that I can outrun this LA. So having one aircraft that's faster than you and one aircraft that's more maneuverable than you as a combo is not great because that fast one's going to make you maneuver, and then you're immediately going to have to worry about that other one. So I can actually outmaneuver this LA if we get into a long sustained fight, but that German 109 is going to be right there. So I got to maneuver defensively, and we just have to close up the radiators and run the heck away. There's really nothing that I can do at this point. If I commit to either one of them, these guys seem to be pretty competent, and they would shoot me out of the sky. I can't sit and get slow around these dudes. There's just going to be no recovering from that. My best chance is just to call for help and to run the frick away. I'm not even running necessarily to my airfields at this point because I'm still confident in the fight. I just think that I can draw them out into the middle of the map, over the lake, over the river, and have my way with them. I made a point to stay underneath the cons, hoping that one of them would miss me. Of course, that didn't happen. Like I said, these guys did seem pretty competent. I call for help here, wondering where my team is. Everybody can see the cons across the map. You guys see tracers, you see everything. Where are ye? Like I said, it's early into the match. Not a lot of people are in here yet. And that LA pops up directly behind me with so much speed. I'm not really sure where he got all that from. But I do the same thing I did earlier. I prefer to turn left, and so does that 109. Luckily, his shot isn't great.
They're both gonna hit. Oh, you guys saw that too.
That would have been an amazing clip if they just ended up smacking into each other, but they didn't. But you can see it, that LA goes up. That means he doesn't see me. That means he's looking to his right, he's looking to his left, trying to get me visually, and now I'm like a mile away, a mile and a half away. He's gonna have a difficult time catching up to me at this point. They're giving me an ample amount of separation, and the second I turn around, you see those tracers going by. That means that there's another American aircraft over here, which I have to commit. You know, I was calling for help. He's come in to help me, and now I gotta help him, or else he's gonna be put in the same situation that I was just in. Ideally, these guys are distracted, and I get one out, which is exactly what happens. That ally actually doesn't even stay around. He just distracts them for a half second, and that's all I needed to get one of them out of the fight. And like I said, I'm confident in the 1v1 with this thing on the deck, especially considering that I got the more maneuverable fighter out of the way. So now this LA comes in, I just gotta dodge that first shot and then do something aggressive. Luckily, he gets a little complacent on his exit of the fight, and he goes up. And like I said before, these 50 cals will reach out and touch people.
Oh yes! Oh my gosh!
So this sortie was flown at an altitude that I really shouldn't have been flying it at. And all it took was one teammate to come in and distract a guy for a half second in order for this victory to be achieved. This 2v1 situation, which was, you know, a 2v2 for about 15 seconds. You can see I'm pretty pumped right there. So a victory like this on the deck against multiple enemy fighters in an aircraft that really isn't that maneuverable, taking fights I really shouldn't be taking, I was quite happy with this flight. You know, normally my most successful P-51 flights are up at altitude, they're intercepting bombers, they're defending bombers. I am not flying down here where I usually fly Japanese aircraft. But with full mech in a cold map, I can really push that engine to the extreme for the entirety of the sortie, which gives me just enough power to be able to fight things like those LAs, which are much lighter aircraft than the American fighters. But really this video is about following the principles of the aircraft that you're flying. For example, I am fast, okay? Not that maneuverable, and I definitely can't get slow. But if I am going to get slow, something like that fight with the Focke-Wulf, it needs to be against an aircraft that also isn't great getting slow. You shouldn't be maneuvering with aircraft on the deck that are more maneuverable than you, and you shouldn't be running on the deck from aircraft that are faster than you. Luckily, it worked out where the aircraft that were faster than me were also less maneuverable than me, which is usually how it goes. But there was definitely a few scenarios where I messed that fight up with the LA-5. But I do think, like I said, that he got a little complacent there. So don't get this thing slow. I really don't like getting it under 200 knots. If you guys are wondering, this was the P-51 D10 variant. I hope this was educational to some degree, maybe a little entertaining, maybe. I got some really good videos coming up next week that are more the usual vibe of the channel. But until next time, enjoy the sunset, gentlemen. Adios, fellas.